I did not know that paranormal stories in the hood was a thing. But since it is, let me tell y'all about the time me, my mom, and my sister lived in a haunted house for over 10 years. This story is going to have multiple parts, so buckle up. This is just part one. And this is when we first moved into the house, right? We not even fully moved in. Now, a little backstory. We found this house for cheap, and it was a nice house. It was like 4 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, big ass. It was like a living room. Well, it was like actually like a living room, a dining room, and then kind of like an entertainment room. The house was huge, and we got it for a cheap price. And I remember like when I was telling my homeboy, one of my homeboys about it, I was showing him the house, like, yeah, this is what we moving into. And he kind of looked at me and he was like, you know that house haunted, right? I'm just like, man, get the fuck out of here, whatever. And he like, no, for real. An old white man used to stay there. He died in the house. And people say it's haunted. And ever since then, nobody has ever stayed in that house past a couple months because it be too much shit happening. Now, mind you, the way my homeboys be playing, I'm kind of thinking he just fucking with me, right? I'm just like, whatever. All right, so now fast forward to we moving in. We all going, me, my mom, my sister, we all going back and forth moving our shit in, right? So now at this point, the only people in the house is me and two of my cousins, right? And I'm showing them like the house. So I'm not gonna go into details how it's set up because that's gonna take too long. But long story short, my room, the reason I picked it, and it's a fucked up reason, but my room didn't have any windows. And I loved it because when you would cut the lights off, it would be completely pitch dark. And I would sleep all day up in that bitch. So I'm showing my homeboys my room. But right down the hallway is my sister's room. And she actually had the biggest room in the house. And so I showed them my room, and then I go down to the end of the hall, and I'm showing them my sister's room. And like I said, she had a big ass room. But on the wall, now this is important. On the wall, there was like a floor length mirror, but it didn't have a frame or anything, and it was bolted directly into the wall where you couldn't move it. Like if you touch it, you can't move it. It wouldn't move at all. It's just right there in the wall. It was like 4 bolts on each corner holding it into the wall, right? So I take them in there. I show them my sister room and shit. And then I go back into my room and they come into my room with me because I'm moving my shit in, right? I'm moving my clothes, books, knickknacks, all that good stuff. So while mind you, nobody's in the house but us. Me, my two cousins. While we're in my room and we just talking, I'm talking about all the shit we gonna be doing, yada, 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 we hear a loud ass crash come from my sister room. Now, we hood ninjas. So when we hear that, our first instinct is somebody in here with us. So we immediately dash into my sister room, ready for action. Nobody's there. And the way the house was set up, nobody could have been in there. And they couldn't have came in and left without us seeing them or hearing them. The way the house is set up, right? So we get into the room, nobody's there. And my sister hasn't moved into her room yet. So it's nothing in her room. Her room is completely empty. And we looking around like, what the fuck was that noise? And we look at the mirror and it's smashed. So now we know what the sound was. At first, we didn't even know what the sound was. It was just the crash was so loud that it actually, we all flinched before we ran to see what was going on. And the way the mirror was shattered, you would think somebody took a sledgehammer or something and just, slammed it into it. So now we in my sister's room and we just looking around like, what the fuck? How did that happen? Because again, mind you, my sister, the mirror is bolted into the wall. You can't move it. You can't jiggle it. There was no type of give on it. You dig what I'm saying? So for it to just spontaneous shatter, there was no logical explanation. And we just kind of like, you know how you get that oh shit look, but then you try to laugh it off because we just like, and I'm like, oh well damn. And then I make a joke like, well damn. Motherfucker did say, the homie did say that the house haunted, haha, we laughing, but we kind of spooked. So now, like maybe an hour or so later, my sister shows up. And she's already been in the house, right? And me and my two cousins, we in my room. We still in my room, chopping it up and shit. She goes in her room, and my sister got a temper. So she goes in her room, gets to yelling, and immediately comes to my room. Like, what the fuck y'all do to my mirror? And I'm like, we didn't do nothing to your mirror. And she like, get the fuck out of here, man. I know y'all. Y'all was probably up in there play fighting and shit, and y'all done smashed the mirror, and y'all don't wanna take accountability or whatever. Like, what the fuck? And so we like, look, honestly, we was in my room. That's what I'm telling myself. I'm like, look, honestly, we was in my room and we just heard a loud crash. We came in there and the mirror was broke. My sister look at us and she like, y'all can't come up with a better fucking line than that. I'm like, and my cousins is looking at her like, no, he's not lying. Cause I was known to joke and be sarcastic and shit. And so my cousins had to step in like, no, look, straight up, he not lying. We was in here. We don't know what happened. We just heard the shit. And like the more that we explaining it to her, the more she's kind of like, first she's kind of like, then she's kind of like, and she like, y'all for real? We like, yes. Well, look, so, and that was the first strange thing that happened. But a lot more shit happened. This video kind of long, so I'm gonna have to catch y'all on the next one. And I'm gonna let y'all know, because that shit right there that I'm telling you, as freaky as that sound, I'm getting chills. It get a lot worse. And this shit is real. I'm not lying. I'm not making this shit up. But if y'all give me enough likes and shit and get enough views on this shit, I'll hit y'all a part 2. Comment part 2 if you want to hear the next part. As always, peace. All right, me, my mom, and my sister stayed in the haunted house for 10 years, part 2. Side note, in the first part, somebody in the comment section was talking about an area in California that's haunted. Just for clarity, all of this happened in Laurel, Mississippi. I would drop the address to the actual house, but I don't know if anybody's living there, so I don't want to be like inadvertently doxing somebody. But let's get to it. So we had been in the house for a minute, and I had some shit happen to me that I'm gonna talk to y'all about later. This is another story though. So I used to game a lot, right? I had a Dreamcast, and I would play like Marvel vs. Capcom 2, Street Fighter Third Strike. You know what I'm saying? Fighting games. They used to be my jam. And one of the people I used to play with all the time was my homeboy named Ed. Now, here's what you need to know about Ed. Ed was a Marine, and Ed wasn't scared of shit. Nothing. I watched Ed catch a damn water moccasin with his bare hands, and then he skinned it and tried to turn it into a belt. That's Ed. When I first met Ed, when we was younger, one of the things him and his cousin used to do for fun is they would go and lay in between the train tracks and let the train run over. The man wasn't scared of shit. He used to climb in trees and jump tree to tree like a damn squirrel. He wasn't scared of anything. That's going to be important to this story. So, like I said, Ed was like, that's my homeboy, but he also like family. He basically was damn near living with us. And sometimes he'll sleep in the spare room. Sometimes he'll sleep in my room. He'll have like his Marine sleeping bag, and he would sleep on the floor at the foot of my bed. So one particular night, he comes over, he spends the night, he sleeps on the foot of my bed. My room, as I said before, didn't have any windows. So when I closed the door, cut the lights off, it would be pitch black. And I used to love that room because I used to have insomnia. But when I would be in that room, I closed the door and it'd be in total darkness because couldn't even see your hand in front of your face. I used to get some of the best sleep in my life until shit started happening, but we'll get to that in a second. So this night, Ed spends the night. He sleeps on He sleeps in a sleeping bag on the floor. And get up the next day, and he's just like, hey, man. He was like, I seen a ghost last night. And that's exactly how he said. He said in a casual way. He wasn't excited. He wasn't spooked. It was just, he could have been telling me the weather. I seen a ghost last night. And I'm just like, what? You seen it? I believed him immediately because of the shit I was going through. But I was like, you seen a ghost? Like, but I never seen like anything physical. It was just shit that would happen. He seen a ghost from what he told me. And I'm like, you know, you're going to have to elaborate. You have to give me the details on it. And so he was like, he was asleep. And you know how sometimes you can feel like something is looking at you? He had that feeling, and he woke up, and there was a girl bent over staring at him. Like, just because he was on the floor, so she's just like leaning over him, staring at him. And I'm kind of like, the first question I asked was like, well, how could you see her? Because like I said, when you close the door, cut off the lights, my room is pitch black. You can't see nothing. And he was like, well, it seemed like her shirt or whatever she was wearing, it was like it had like a faint glow to it. He was like, so he could see her, but just barely. And he was like, she either had on like a long t-shirt or a gown. And I was like, well, how's she look in the face? Like he was like, I couldn't tell you, because he was like, you know, she bent leaning over, staring at him, but her hair was covering her face. Now, another side note, this happened before that movie The Ring came out. So we didn't have no point of reference when he was telling me this. It wasn't until after The Ring came out, and he was like, that kind of looks like the girl, you know what I'm saying, that I seen in your room. But, so I'm like, so she just staring at you? He like, yeah. And I'm like, well, what did you do? And he was like, well, because he was like, in his mind, his first thought was, he thought that maybe it was my sister, and she snuck in there, you know, trying to play a prank, trying to scare him or whatever. Because my sister used to do shit like that. But he realized that it wasn't her when he reached up and tried to touch her face. And he was like, she stood up and just kind of like stepped back into the corner and just like went into the wall. And I'm like, she went into the wall. He like, yeah, bro. It's like she just melted into the wall. And he tried to like, he went into the corner where she backed into, and nothing was there. That was in my bedroom, y'all. I started sleeping with the light on. I'll have like a little night light after that. But that's part 2. I'm gonna try to make these a lot shorter. So that's the end of part 2. We gonna get into part 3, and then part 4 is the deep end. All right. So I'm gonna see you on the next one. Comment to the side if y'all ready for part 3. And as always, peace, and thank y'all for y'all support. As always, love y'all. Bye. Okay. So me, my sister, and my mom lived in a haunted house for over 10 years. Part 3. I'm gonna do a little intro. So, this story I'm about to tell y'all, this is really an experience my sister had. I wasn't there when it happened, but she told me about it, because we kind of started taking notes. The part after this is gonna fuck with y'all. I'm gonna let you know now, right? And then part 5, which is probably gonna be the last part, unfortunately, is the most terrifying thing that ever happened to me in my fucking life. So y'all buckle up. I'm giving y'all a warning now. When we get to part 5 is gonna fuck with you if you still here. Okay? So, and then after that, it's like an epilogue. Something that actually happened like a year ago, and that pertains to that house. And then that'll probably be it for that series. But I done had a lot of freaky shit happen over the years. So if I can recall some of those stories, I'll help y'all with them. All right, so let's get into it. Without further ado, part 3. So now I gotta tell y'all about my sister. So my sister at this time, she had like 5 or 6 pit bulls, because she had a male and a female, and then, you know, they did what they do, and then she had a whole bunch of puppies that she named and she kept and shit. But one of the puppies she had, she named him Stupid. That was his name, Stupid, because he was do stupid shit. But here's the thing about Stupid. Stupid was not no joke when it came to putting belt to ass. Stupid used to beat his brothers and sisters up to the point that Kara had to keep them separated. That's my sister named Kara. So she would keep Stupid in the house. Now at this point, when we're in this house, Stupid, he's not like a little puppy, but he's not fully adult either. He acted like a rebellious teenager, to be honest. He had a personality, definitely had a personality. And Kara, my sister, would keep him in her bedroom with him, and he would sleep on her bed at the foot of the bed. He'll curl up at the foot of her bed and sleep. And that's just where he'll be. A lot of times when she would go to sleep, if you came in her room, he was curled up at her feet on the bed. Now, to get to me and my sister's room, you come down this hallway. You come from the kitchen down the hallway. Now, the first door on the left, that's my room. That's my bedroom, the room with no windows and stuff. You go up a little further, and the next door on the left, that was the bathroom. That was our bathroom. And then straight ahead, if you keep all the way down to the end of the hall, there's the door. You open that door, it opens up to this huge room. That was my sister's room. She actually had the biggest bedroom in the house. Okay? Another thing about this house, it didn't have any central air and heat. So the way we kept it warm is it had like these electric units. It was an old house, but it had these electric units in the wall that you would turn on that did a piss poor job of keeping the house warm. So we all had like little space heaters in our room and shit. Watch out, Bella. And then in the summer, like my sister had an AC unit in her room. She had two, I think. So her room stayed cool in the summer. I didn't have any windows, so I just used to be hot as shit. So in this story, we get into the story now. I know it's kind of long, but in this story, so my sister's in her bed and she's watching TV. And Stupid, as always, is curled up at the end of the bed, by her feet. That's where he'd be. That's his part. So she's watching TV, and a lot of times, like I said, you come down that end into the hall, you open the door, that's how you get to my sister's room. A lot of times, she would leave her door open. So she's in there, she got the lights off, it's at night, she's watching TV, Stupid's curled up at her feet, and all of a sudden, she says, he just started growling. And he don't really do that, you know what I mean? Unless he about to fight. So she looks at him, and she's like, he's looking at the door that leads to the hallway. And his teeth are bared. And he's just letting out this like ferocious ass growl. It's just like a low, you know what I'm saying? She's looking at him like, what the fuck is going on? And then she says he gets up and he's like in a attack position. And she's like, the hairs on the back of his neck are sticking straight up. And he's just like he about to attack something. And so she's looking at him. She's looking at Stupid. And he's looking at the door that leads into the hallway. She looks at the door because she could see down the hallway too. She's looking and nothing's there. So she's kind of like, what the hell? And so she looks back at him, and he's just sitting there. He's just growling, he growling. And then she says, all of a sudden, he jumps off the bed and takes off down the hallway like he's chasing something, right? Now, when he got like further down the hallway, she couldn't see him no more because that hallway didn't have any lights, and like it was at night, so all the lights was off. But she just see him run off into the darkness, and she said a couple seconds after he runs off down the hallway, he lets out this loud ass like yelp, like, "Arr!" You know what I mean? And she's like, he comes back down the hallway hollering. He just, and he jumps in the bed like just, and she looks at him, and he's at the foot of her bed now, and he's shaking like he's just terrified. And she was like, nothing was there. Nobody was there. She was like, so she doesn't know what would cause him to do that. But whatever it was, it freaked him the fuck out to the point where he's just shaking and shit. And now she's scared. You know what I mean? And she was just like, and I remember she was telling me that she was like, I don't know. She said, it wasn't a person or anything. She said, I don't know what it was. but something scared the shit out of him. Cause it was like he ran off and then he just let out this loud, just terrifying yelp. And he came back, jumped at the foot of her bed. And he's still looking down the hallway, but now he's shaking. And she's looking at him, and now she's shaking. And now she's like, it's something in here. You know, this is what she's telling me afterwards. She's like, this house really is haunted. Like, I know we was joking about it. And this was the point when that happened. Now she's asking me, like, if y'all remember part one, now she's asking me, she's like, the thing that happened with the mirror in my room, she's like, be real with me. She's like, is that what really happened? Or were y'all just fucking with me? You know what I mean? Because now she's like, something's going on here. And I'm looking at my sister. I'm like, look, what we told you happened with that mirror in your room, it really happened. I'm not joking. And then, because she's like, well, I really believe this house is haunted. And I tell her, I know. Because let me tell you what's been happening to me. And I would tell y'all what was happening to me in the next part 4. But thank y'all for staying around. It's like I said, reliving some horrifying moments in my life. And also another thing, when I looked at some of the comments in the last part, somebody was telling me the first red flag should have been that we bought the house for so cheap. And just to clarify, we didn't buy that house. We was renting that house. And this was like in the early, it's like around 2000, somewhere in that area. And check this out. So this house had like I said, it had like 3-4 bedrooms, 2 big ass living rooms, a big dining room. This house was huge. We were only paying $450 a month in rent. And this was a single family house that you know what I mean? So, yeah, we in the thick of it now, y'all. Now, just starting off, let me just say, at this time, this was, I think I might have been 19, 20, something like that. Different time. I was in a different headspace. I gotta let y'all know this before I tell you the story so you'll understand why it happened the way it happened. Because I was in a different headspace. I was at a point in my life where I was kind of like not caring. You dig what I'm saying? About whether I lived or not. Like, it was a dark moment for me. All right, so I'm gonna try to keep this short because people be like, you talk too much or whatever. So we gonna get straight to it. So this went down when we first like moved in, within the first couple months. So like because when we first moved in, people was just kind of figuring out where we had moved to. So we weren't really getting a lot of people over there like that. And this always happened like if anybody had spent the night with me, it wouldn't happen. It always happened when I was by myself. So like I told y'all before, my room had no windows, right? So when I cut off my light, it'd be pitch black. And I used to love that because I can get some sleep. But some weird shit had started happening. So let's get into it. So like I said, I would close the door, cut off the lights, pitch black. I'd be in bed and I was getting some good sleep. And I used to primarily like kind of sleep on my back. I don't sleep on my back no more. But what would happen is, you know, I had like the bed with the box springs. It was just a regular little bed. You could get under my bed. Like I could lay under my bed if I wanted to. And so what would happen was like in the middle of the night, and I couldn't tell you the time because I didn't have like a clock or anything in my room. I did it on purpose because I would lose track of time. I could literally sleep all day up in there. So one night I'm asleep, right? And it felt like something like pushed up under the bed, like pushed right where my back was. But it was just like, it wasn't hard, just like a gentle push, boom. But it was enough because I was kind of like a light sleeper. It was enough to wake me up. So I wake up and I'm kind of like laying there. And then I'm like, you know, I lay there for a minute. Next thing you know, I'm back to sleep, right? Well, that kept happening. You know, it'd just be like, I'll be asleep. It'd be like a little, you know what I'm saying? I'll wake up. And it was kind of like, damn, am I dreaming or did that really happen? It was one of them type of situations. And I would end up going back to sleep. So it started kind of like escalating, you know? So now it goes from like a little push like this where it'd be like a little bump, like boom. And I wake up, I jerk out my sleep and I lay there like, what the fuck? And then, like I said, we used to play, me and my homeboys, especially Ed. I talked about Ed in the last part. Ed also was like a ninja. That man could move without making no noise. So I'm thinking like the first couple times that happened, the first time it happened, I was like, this gotta be Ed. So I jumped up, cut the lights on and look under the bed. Nothing's there. Nobody's been in my room. So I go back to sleep. And again, the way it was happening, it was kind of like, I would be asleep. So every time it would happen, I'd be dead sleeping. Every time it happened, I'd be groggy. I wouldn't be fully awake. So I'd just be sitting there like, damn, was I dreaming or whatever? Confusion. Well, now it escalates to the point where it goes from like doom to like boom, like kind of hard. Like, and now it's kind of like, I'm kind of like, what the fuck? You know what I'm saying? Because it'd be like boom, and I'll wake up. But you ever have a dream like, because I used to have these dreams where I would be falling, and then right before I hit the ground, I would wake up. And when I wake up, it felt like I landed on my bed, like I fell on my bed. So I was kind of like, well, damn, was I dreaming about I was falling or something? You feel what I'm saying? And I just kept like explaining it away, but my subconsciously, I'm like, nah, this is some freaky shit going on. And I was just trying to explain it because there was no explanation for what was going on. You feel me? So now it was a situation where I'm asleep, bump me, boom. Like, no, I kind of get Joe to the wake, and I'm laying there, and I'm like, what the fuck? Like, am I tripping? Like, is this a recurring dream, whatever? And while I'm laying there thinking that, I feel something. Now it's pushing soft, like, boom. It do it like 2 or 3 times. I'm like, okay, I'm not dreaming. I immediately jump up, cut on the lights. I look under the bed. There's nothing there, right? And I'm just like, what the, like, because I was having some issues around this time too. So I'm just like, is this real or what the fuck? Like, the next time after that it happens, because it wouldn't, this wouldn't happen every day. I might go a week or so or a couple days or so where nothing happens. Then it'll just all of a sudden happen, right? So the last time it happens, it's like, and I remember this shit. It messed me up. So what it hit, whatever pushed from under the bed, it pushed so hard that I actually went up, I lifted up off the mattress. I like bounced off the mattress and then landed. Like it was like a boom. And I landed. I know now mind you, I'm in a pitch black room. I can't see shit. So I laid on my bed. I'm wide awake now. And I'm like, yo, what the fuck? Like, you know what I'm saying? I'm bewildered. Like, and before I could think anything, because I'm still laying on my back, and before I could think anything, it was like boom. You know what I'm saying? And it hit me again. I'm like, what the fuck? And did like 3 more times, right? And then the bed just started shaking, like jumping, and I'm laying there like, yo, like, you know what I'm saying? And I can't see nothing. And it do that for a second, and then it just stopped. And when it stops, I'm laying there. I'm just like, okay, I'm definitely not dreaming. This shit really happened. This shit is really happening. This is really real. So I'm laying there, and then what I do, and like I said, I was in a dark place, so I'm laying there, and I just go, and I say this out loud. I say, look, check this out. If you're going to kill me, just go ahead and kill me and get this shit over with, because I'm tired. Okay? That's what I say. And I lay there. Nothing happens. Right? And then after that, it never happened again. So, and I didn't really tell nobody. Because, like, even telling y'all, I'm pretty sure some of y'all will hear this story and be like, ain't no way in hell that shit really happened. I was really skeptical about telling people that story because I didn't want people to be looking at me like something was wrong with me. You know what I mean? It's you know, at that age, it's kind of like, it's easy to say, oh, I'm going to say something. But, you know, imagine me going to my mom and telling her that shit. I could see now she going to be looking like, what? Or my sister or whatever. I didn't tell my sister about that till like later. like later. And so that that it never happened again after that. Other shit would happen though, like you would hear it's like a pan might fall on the floor, shit like that. But that's not, y'all probably hearing it's like, yo, that's fucked up. That's not even the scariest thing that happened to me in that house. Next part, like I told y'all before, next part, part 5, I'm going to tell you the most terrifying shit that ever happened to me in that house. That like, and I never told anybody. I think I told my sister about it not too long ago, but I never told anybody about this shit. So y'all buckle up. And thanks for the support, you know what I'm saying? I appreciate y'all like these stories or whatever, but it's kind of hard kind of talking about, because it's kind of like remembering it and speaking about it, you almost relive it a little bit. And like just now when I'm saying that, telling y'all this, and when I'm talking about how I just told the ghost, like, just go ahead and unalive me, I'm like, why the fuck did I say that? But it worked, you know what I'm saying, for a time. Fair warning, if you get scared easily, and I'm not trying to be funny, you might want to wait. Like if this hits your For You page at night, you might want to wait till the sun come up before you watch this shit. On second thought, now I think about it, no, you're not safe. You're not safe, even in the daytime. I mean, even if you're watching in the daytime, you're not safe. You'll understand when I get into the story. So we had been living in this house for a minute at this time. I don't know exactly how long, but it was a while. So you kind of get used to like weird shit happening. Like I told y'all in part 4 what happened to me in my bedroom. After I was just like, hey, either unalive me or leave me the fuck alone, had no more problems. So I've been going a minute, you know, you just hear the bumps in the night, stuff like that. So I had gone for a pretty long while before this part happened, the thing I'm about to tell y'all now. Had got kind of comfortable, had like a sense of normalcy. So this was like, you know, I'm in my 20s. I'm 19, 20, something like that, around that age, early 20s. We used to kick it. So we used to go to Jackson every weekend, because that's where my homeboy stayed. He went to Jackson State, but he stayed off campus in an apartment. So we go up there and get towed up. That was my first time. This day that this happened was the first time I ever drunk myself sober. I had a homeboy that used to always talk about that. He would get drunk and he'd keep drinking and he'd get sober. Thought he was lying. It happened to me. I was like, shit, it works. That's the only time it ever happened to me in my life. So now we've been partying all night in Jackson, drunk myself sober. We're headed back to Laurel, Mississippi. My homeboys dropped me off at the house because everybody's going to shower, take a nap or whatever. And then that night we going to go kick it again. So it's around noon when they drop me off at the house. I go in the house and I walk through the house and nobody's there. Because I go through every room. I go to my mom's room, my sister's room. I go in just all the cracks and crevices, because sometimes some of the homies would stay at the crib. So I'm just saying, is anybody there? Nobody's there. I go into the living room to like decompress and watch some TV. At this time, I had been up like for a minute. I ain't gonna say 24 hours straight, but we had been up all night. And like I said, it's noon. Now, before we get into the thick of it, I have to give you a diagram of the house so you'll understand what the fuck is going on, all right? I'm trying to make this shit quick. I know y'all be saying I'm long-winded. Got you. So the living room that I'm in, like I'm laying on the couch. And I'm looking at the TV. Now, if you get up from the couch and you head backwards, right? You go up 2 stairs, there's a landing. To the right is like a little short strip, and then to the left of that is like a room. That's my mama's room. She's all the way on the other side of the house. Now, if you turn around and go the opposite direction, like if you go from where I'm laying down, you go up the 2 stairs to the left, there's a bar area that overlooks the living room where you can see me. You can sit at the bar. You can watch TV. You'll see me on the couch, whatever, right? If you keep straight, there's 3 stairs. You go up those 3 stairs, now you're in the kitchen. It's a little kitchen. Like on the left, there's the refrigerator. Then like next to the refrigerator is the stove. On the right is the sink. And then it's like the cabinets and all that for the pots and pans and all that shit. Cool. If you keep straight to the edge of the kitchen and you look to the left, there's a long ass hallway. If you've been here for part 1 through 4, you kind of know where this is going. You go down this hallway. The first door on the left is my bedroom. You go the next, then if you go a little further up, the next door on the left, that's the bathroom that me and my sister use. My mom had a bathroom in her room. Then at the end of this hallways, there's a door. You open that door, that's my sister's room. The biggest bedroom in the house. Now, let's go backwards. So you go from my sister's room, the first room on your right, it's going to be the bathroom. The second room on the right, it's my room. You keep to the end of that hallway, there's a door, then you go through that door, you're directly in the kitchen. If you make a right from the kitchen, you go through the kitchen, you make a right, you go down those 3 stairs, you end up in that little strip, the little bar area. You overlook the bar area, you can see the couch that I'm laying on, and if you look in the corner straight ahead, like catty corner to the couch, it's the big screen TV, the old school big screen with the big ass that you had to pick, took about 5 people to pick that bitch up. It wasn't no flat screen. It was a flat screen, but it wasn't a flat screen. You know what I'm talking about. So from the bar area to get down to where I'm at, you have to, like, if you're facing the bar, you you turn to the left, and then you make a right, you go down 2 stairs, and then if you walk over, you're going to be at the couch where I'm laying. You'll be at the head, because the way I'm laying, I can't, you'll be standing directly behind me. I'll be laying on the couch. You'll be standing over me, like here. That's where you'll be at. This is important, okay? Now let's get to it. Nobody's home. It's noon, hot as hell, bright, sunny fucking day. All the shades open. It's plenty of light. Ain't no dark gloom, nothing. I jump on the couch. Boom. I lay on the couch, cut on the TV. I'm watching the TV. A couple seconds after I lay there and I look at the TV, I get paralyzed. And when I say I'm paralyzed from the top of my head to the bottom of my feet. I can't move. I can't move my mouth. I can't talk. I can't scream because I'm trying to fucking scream. The only thing I can move is my eyes. But I can't move my head. I can't even try to move. You know how you could try to move and struggle? Couldn't do that. Shit wasn't working. Wasn't moving at all. So I'm just stuck on the couch. I'm laying on the couch and I'm just stuck there. And the TV's on and I'm there and nobody's there but me. And it's like, I'm panicking. Like, what the fuck? What the fuck? What did I do? What the fuck? What the fuck? Because when I got paralyzed, it was like something, it was a force. I felt like some energy, like woof. And then it was like, you can't move, boy. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just like, what the fuck? What the fuck? And then to make things worse, remember what I just told y'all about how the house is set up. Coming from my room, I hear a noise. Boom. And I'm like, what the fuck? I can't say nothing. I can't move. And then I hear it again. Boom. And then the third time I hear it, boom, I realize those are footsteps. Something is walking. Something is coming down the hallway towards me. Boom. And it's that slow. Boom. It's just slow and deliberate. Boom. It's coming down the hallway from my room. Right? Boom. Now it's in the kitchen. Boom. Boom. Now it's coming through the kitchen. And I'm hearing this shit. And I can't move. I can't say nothing. I'm just stuck. And I'm hearing it. Boom. Boom. Now it's at the stairs. What the fuck? Boom. 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 It's at the bottom of the 3 stairs. It's at the bar directly overlooking where the fuck I'm at. And I still can't move. And I can't see it. I just hear this. Boom. Boom. It's coming around the bar. Boom. Boom. It goes down 2 stairs. It's going to be in the room with me. Boom. Boom. Oh shit, it's in the fucking room with me. I still can't see shit. I'm laying here looking at the TV. I can't see nothing. Boom. And I'm hearing it come behind me. Boom. It's getting closer. Boom. It's getting closer. Boom. Fuck, it's right behind me. It's like standing right here. If I would have did like this, or if I did like this, I would have seen it. But I can't fucking move. I can only move my eyes. And I'm trying to move my eyes up like, what the fuck is standing over me? Because I can feel the presence of something standing over me. And the whole time I'm screaming, I'm trying to move, and my body ain't doing shit. And then everything went black. Like everything faded out. It's like, I don't know what happened. It was just like I got knocked out. You ever been knocked out? You know how that feels. Just like, boom, I'm knocked out, right? And then when I come back to, I'm still on the couch. And I don't know how much time had passed, but it's still daylight. And I'm sitting and I'm laying there for a second, and then I realize, oh shit, I can move. And I sit up and I jump the fuck up and I run the fuck out the house. Like I run, cause I'm like, pew. I run through the house. Like I run out the house. I run out the door. I run down the carport. We got a long ass driveway. I run to the end of the driveway and I'm just like out of breath, like, what the fuck? What the fuck? And I'm looking at the house and the house is looking at me. And I'm like, I can't go here right now. Like, and I'm looking around, I don't see no cars. So as far as I know, my sister, my mom ain't there. And I'm like, there is no fucking way I'm going back in there. And I never told nobody this story because, again, who gonna believe this shit? You feel what I'm saying? It's hard for me to believe it, but I was fucking there. And I'm running out of time, so I might have to do another part. But that's the end of the story. But I might elaborate further if y'all want. But thanks for being here for this journey. Unfortunately, this is the last part. So